So from the Greek grammar standpoint, you can look at the nominative form, and in ordinary Greek, a lord or a master might take on the form of kyrios in general, or kyrion for the accusative, or kyrie for the vocative. But whenever you're talking about Yahweh, whenever the Septuagint references Yahweh, you almost always find ho kyrios. And in the Old Testament, this is a very common phrase whenever we're talking about like the prophets. So like, thus says the Lord, blah, 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 blah. This is applied to Jesus in a bunch of places. Luke does it a lot of times, both in Luke and in Acts. So this is Jesus speaking, but ho kyrios eipin, the Lord said to him. And the same thing in Acts. And then the Lord said to him, take off your sandals, for where you're standing is holy ground. Now this is quoting the Old Testament, and the Old Testament quotation is used exactly the same way and exactly the same grammar as all the quotations in the rest of Luke and in Acts. That applies for Jesus. So we have the authors of the Gospels equating Jesus with Yahweh by having these particular forms of the verb, especially with phrases that were common to Yahweh specifically. So they're not just throwing in like things that kind of you could make a case for. No, they're literally quoting the Old Testament using this phrase, applying it to Jesus.